What up? Alright, let's get this going. Thank you, appreciate it. It's probably weird to respond to the comments in the text chatting section if you can't see the chatting section. I'm not sure if anybody can see the chats, so probably shouldn't respond to the chats. I don't know. I'm still kind of new to this whole thing. Alright, so I want to go through and I'm gonna make some borders real quick, just so I know where some of the framing is. I don't know how much typing I'll be doing, because if I'm typing, I'm not drawing. Oops. Reset that. Just making borders. Borders. And the borders they're a little messy, but it's all good. And I'm sure somebody would be like, hey, I know a faster way of doing that. And that's cool. But I'm good. I don't mind if it's a little cumbersome. It's all good. So I'm gonna turn it off for right now. And now I'm going to do, I'm gonna call that line art. So all the stuff I'm gonna draw, I'm gonna call it line art. And I might put some of those little effects and stuff that I might try to do on a different layer. I don't think I'm gonna do the coloring today. I think that would be craziness. I've been drawing all day. Not that means anything. Like, I've been drawing all day. So what? Keep drawing. And I have a pretty good idea of what the character looks like, so I don't really have like a model sheet sitting in front of me. If I wasn't sure, if I had major questions on the proportions, in addition, I draw this character a kind of a lot. Not kind of a lot. At least recently, I've been drawing him a lot. So I know that he has like a little cut on both ears. So in the sketches, I don't put all the extraneous, or what I perceive to be extraneous details in there, because I know I'm gonna come back and draw them in. So I just don't see the purpose in the sketch thumbnails to add all that stuff in. So and to each his own. You know, if that, for some people, you know, they're basically their layout drawings are super tight, and there's nothing wrong with that. I won't judge. I kind of like to keep, I don't want to put gums in there. I'm going to just leave teeth. I kind of like to do mine a little bit loose. Oh, I know what that was supposed to be. Primarily because I like to be able to be a little flexible. And I like to get a lot of them done too. So I kind of feel like if I don't make them really loose, that I'm more than likely going to spend too much time noodling away at lots of details that I'm otherwise going to potentially be changing anyway. So that's my theory. Makes me feel comfortable sleeping at night, so I'm sticking with it. I'm pretty sure somebody else who has more experience in comics in particular will maybe potentially frown on that idea. Like, your drawings are not super tight? Unbelievable. But I mean, I'm a big believer in that. You know, everybody's process is, you know, their own process. So, you know, creatively, you may have a completely different way of approaching it, and there's really nothing wrong with that. As long as you're getting the job done. So, the stuff I'm doing right now won't get posted to the site for a little bit. I'm still working through posting some of the old work, catching up anybody who may be a new reader or who may be completely unaware of the concept before I launch in on some completely new stuff. So I've kind of got a little bit of time to get this new stuff done, but one thing that's important, or at least I believe is important, especially for artists and creative types, is you'll never ever have enough time. So if you don't basically get ahead of the curve and you procrastinate on this stuff, you are 100% going to miss your mark, whatever your mark happens to be. So if you're not really paying attention to your time frame on what you want to get done and how long you'll think it'll take you to get done, you'll be so sure that, hey, I can get this done in X amount of time, and you definitely won't be able to. So I got these borders on. I'll probably tweak them a little bit because it's cropping in on stuff I might not want to crop, and I'll probably break his ear out of the border so he kind of defies the border there. I just like that idea. I just wanted to check the borders real quick to see where he kind of fit in there. Man, if I was smart, I would have made some like genera. I would have made some genera heads I can just position real quick. Woo. have shortcut the process big time. But it kind of be a little bit, I don't know, feels like that'd be a little bit too cheap. You know, if you're doing everything possible to just get through it, I don't know, feels like I might lose a little bit of integrity. I mean, artistically maybe, or creatively. Because instead of making, choices based off of a story or idea, you start making choices based off of how can I speed this up so I can get it done in a much shorter amount of time, which is really bad, at least in my mind. I mean, if you're working for somebody and you've got like these what seem like insurmountable deadlines, then I get it if you decide that you gotta do a little compromise. But if you're doing your own project and you start in with the idea of doing a lot of compromise, I don't know, it seems like you're potentially defeating yourself in a way. Because if it's your own project, you don't really have to do an excessive amount of compromise, because you should be defining what your deadline is. So if you're just defining your deadline, you can, for all intents and purposes, work on it for as long as you want to. At the same token, though, you could also just noodle your life away too. So, if you have any questions or anything, feel free. Like, what are you talking about, man? Talking about drawing. Talking about artistic integrity. Artistic integrity. Doth I not know the integrity of the arts? That was my really bad theatrical pseudo Shakespearean voice. It's pretty bad. So, I knocked through those pretty quickly. The specific deadline? Wow. So, James was asking what's the specific deadline for the release. So for the old one, I've got about 40. I think about 40 individual pages for the last one I did. So I'm thinking that I'll probably accelerate, because I haven't really done a whole lot of the current one. So I've been trying to see how long it takes me to do pages, so I can have a real tangible date that I'm working towards before I really commit to this is it. But I'm thinking that it'll probably be a summer sort of thing. So I don't have a specific date yet, because I'm trying to get ahead of the curve and make all the art before I start, or at least make a significant amount of it before I start making specific dates. Because if anything, if you make a date, and especially especially on the internet. If you make a date like this is coming out on this date and it doesn't come out, you'll get eviscerated, or at least the internet people will be very, very angry. And when the internet people get very, very angry, they make sure everybody, they're not angry by themselves, they get everybody else angry with them. But definitely if you follow Twitter or Facebook or if you're a YouTube subscriber, you'll definitely hear more about when it's coming out, and all the related information. So right now I'm just drumming up interest. It's basically what I'm doing right now. And even if there isn't any interest, I'm gonna make it anyway. So, it's one of those projects where it's like, if people don't respond, I don't care. I care, but I don't care. I care, but I don't care. I don't know if you ever have projects like that where you're just kind of like blah. You're like, it would be great if people were jazzed about it, but you're just kind of like, I'm just gonna make this, and whatever happens. That's kind of what, to a certain degree, that's what this project is right now. It's like, if people get into it, that's great, but if not, I'm gonna make it anyway. If I make no money from it, which I hope I don't. I hope I don't spend tons of money making it, and then people are just kind of like, that's cool, but it's kind of crazy, so I don't know. Like a pig that's a detective who's really short and always angry because people will talk about him being short. I don't know, man. It's weird. Because you just never know what people are or not into, Seems so weird to be drawn like a little weird pig guy in like bikini kind of briefs. I might have to adjust that because that looks really bad. It looks weird. Looks weird. Little weird stumpy feet. Little kneecap. That's funny because James like, I seen weirder. I know it. I mean, it's definitely. We're on the internet, so weird is relative, and weird is, there's places on the internet I would never, like, when people are like, well, you should check that out, especially when you say, hey man, I've seen something really weird, and they're like, oh no, I seen something that's pretty crazy, you should check it out. That's a surefire like, no, that's okay moment, because they're about to have you in the scariest places the world over. Because in many ways, the internet can be a frightening place, if you know what I mean. Let's see if we can. So I previously drew him holding a gun. So the question was, Devon said, how do you feel about Illustrator compared to Toon Boom? I like Illustrator's output. I don't think you can beat Illustrator's output. The quality of the lines and the vector is spectacular. But I don't care for Illustrator's drawing tools. They don't seem intuitive. Kind of similar to Flash's drawing tools. Like, I don't really care for them. It's not that they're bad, because I think that's relative. When you say, hey, this is bad. See, I drew him holding a gun before. I think I should ooh, I wish I had that. I was just gonna see if I could copy it from another file and paste it in, but I'll draw it. I think I made a video of that. I might have. I don't remember now. I think at this point I've made tons of videos. But anyway, I don't know if I answered the Illustrator question or not, but I just don't like the way the drawing tools and Illustrator feel. They just don't feel good to me. And that's not to say that they're not good, because I'm not one of those people who believes that the software that I use is better than, or is the software to use, and that there's no other way of doing it. I think that's always a dangerous sort of thing to start doing or saying, when you start believing that your tools are the tools and any other tool is just, not the way to go. I think that's always bad. At least in my mind, it's bad when you start believing that this is the only way to do it. I think there's tools that are effective for each artist, and you kind of have to find what works for you. If Illustrator works for you, I would use it. If you like the way it if you like how it feels when you draw in there, I would use it. I just don't. I've used it for doing logos and things that required the potential for it the scaling to go up and down and to have like these really precise vector lines. I've used it for that a lot of times. But for this sort of stuff, I don't think I would do it. Again, I just don't like the way it feels. It's kind of one of those artsy things, like when you find a certain pencil or a certain sketch pad, or those sort of dopey things that you start believing that this is the one, and this one really does it for me. When I use this pencil, man, I do some of the best drawing I've ever done. You start believing that kind of stuff. That's kind of how it is to a certain degree. At least with this, that's kind of how it is. Like, I just like the way it feels, so I've kind of adopted that this is my tool of choice. So, and they're not paying me or anything to say, hey, draw a Toon Boom. So, if they were, I'd be beating you over the head with it. Like, stop drawing with any other tool. If you're drawing with any other tool, stop now. This is the tool. This is the tool right here. Use this one. It's the best. Yeah, I like Photoshop, but I don't really like Photoshop for this as much, though. just because I like to play with some of my line weights and line thicknesses and all that sort of stuff. So, and like I like to do this sort of stuff where I can scale things up and down without worrying about, the loss of line quality. Like I like to do that sort of stuff, and if you do that in Photoshop, you get all the anti-aliasing and blurring, or you got to go back and redraw it if you want to really maintain clean edge quality. So I think I want to put this background on another layer so it's easier to draw. So most people would probably use a line tool to draw these straight lines, but that's for suckers. Here we'll just raise that up so it'll auto correct that. So if it gets too wiggly, it'll fix it. Boom. And I kind of like the thick to thin on it too. So I don't really want to use a line tool, which is going to make the lines too perfect. Because I want the lines to feel organic, because this is basically his house, and his house is a pretty run down joint. He doesn't really take care of stuff. That's not really his forte. And I probably could just duplicate that line and move it over, but I like the manual labor. No, I want there to be a certain amount of uniqueness to the lines, so I'm just gonna draw them specifically. Which again it probably isn't a necessity to do. I'm not really shortcutting as much as I probably could. It's that foolish artistic integrity, Like I've got I've got to keep my artistic integrity and draw the lines. Must draw the lines. Cannot skip and be lazy on the lines. So oops. Which again is not really necessary. This is those floorboards. And one thing that if you ever get a chance to do any sort of home repair, home maintenance, man, it's so useful to anything you can do manual labor wise, it's so useful to your artistic knowledge, because I know sometimes artists just want to look at pictures and look at drawings and stuff, or look at other stuff, look at pictures and not experience things. But man, you learn about construction and building materials and a bunch of other stuff that you otherwise never would have thought about. Like I never really thought about floorboards much until I did some floorboards at home, and then I become very, very acutely aware of floorboards and how they sit up against the wall, and and their sort of purpose for keeping that sort of gap in between the drywall and the floor, so that if you cut the drywall a little bit irregularly, it won't look horrific, because you'll have those floorboards to kind of cover it. And two, if there's any sort of shifting, that you've got the floorboards to kind of take up some of the slack, and that the bottom of your walls wouldn't be cracking and breaking because there's some space. That's some That's what I'm thinking, at least. Now, I don't think you would normally put a light switch on this side, but it just seems like it would be in the way if I put it on the same side as him. So I want to put it off to the side here, and I want to make it that really flat one that you see sometimes. So we'll put a little thickness on the bottom to make it look like it's leaned outwards, and we'll put little dots there where it might have been screwed in. Boop. We'll put a couple little tick marks here or there. So we'll shift M to. So that's the like exterior wall of like his room space, and it was like his broken. I think this was a headboard. So draw this in. I'll just drop that because I don't really need that. So no, it's not made of bricks. I believe the question is asking if his house is made of bricks. I'm assuming it's just a regular old standard house. He's just a really messy guy. We'll bring this line up a little bit. I want to add a little bit of thickness to that right there. Boop. Just so it doesn't read as flat, and it just adds to that sort of disheveled feel. Like he's got this headboard that he didn't really put on properly. Oh, Three Little Pigs. I see. Yeah, I wasn't really astute on the Three Little Pigs joke that, hey, is it made out of bricks? Got it. It's jokes like that make this guy snap, just so you know. If you told that to him, he'd take offense to it. Great offense. Because he's that kind of guy. He's that kind of dude that finds things to be offended about. Like, did he just Three Little Pig joke me? So I'll maybe add a little break in there and a couple little dishevel marks, just so it doesn't look super perfect. And maybe I'll zoom in and I'll manually kind of break this a little bit more. Oops. So I'll erase that out a little bit and hit that up with a little bit of cleaner line. And we'll just break that a little more. Oops. So we'll just add a little thickness to that so it looks a little more specific. Sweet. And then this is like a little mattress. So you know when you get the mattress and they have the frame at the bottom. So this dude, he just put the mattress right on the frame. Didn't even get the box spring. Dude is so cheap. They're like, sir, the box spring comes with it. He's like, I don't want your box spring. Because this guy's crazy. He's crazy. So we'll put those little wheels on there. So I'll cut So I technically probably didn't need to draw all this stuff here, but I drew it in because I wasn't sure how far I might take some of those lines. So that was a bit of a time waster, but it's not that big a deal. It's easy to get rid of. Yeah, they have used the Toon Boom to do some feature animation. And I believe it was even used on the Princess Frog by Disney, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody watches this, and especially if anybody's a Toon Boom aficionado, and really I just want to use the word aficionado, but if anybody's an aficionado on that sort of stuff, feel free to chime in. I know they use it a lot for TV animation though. So a lot of the stuff, like the Disney XD stuff, if you've ever watched any of the new Mickey shorts they make, I believe that's a significant amount of that stuff is Toon Boom work. It's done by Mercury Filmworks up in Canada. If you haven't seen those Mickey Mouse shorts, you should check them out. Very cool. And I didn't get paid for that endorsement either. So Disney, if anybody at Disney's watching this and you got some extra money you just throwing around, I'd like it. First, so that's his little low budget mattress and his little box spring. I mean his headboard and his mattress. Again, not the most lavish sort of, but he's not living like that, you know. So that's the line art, that's the border, and we'll just do like a preview render, see what it looks like. Let me turn off this rough back here, and let me add a color card so it shows off just the line. So currently that's what we're looking at. I'll probably break out of some of these frames though. And then stylistically, I'm definitely trying to keep it to where it kind of has more of a sort of 2D animation cartoon feel. So and if at some point anybody out there, you know, studios like, hey, we looking for projects to pick up, you know, be more than happy to jump on that train. I've got a project for you. It's not really bad. I used to work on trying to have an accent, so when I made videos I would sound really cool, but I'm just not good at accents, so I probably should stop doing that. So you can kind of tell by his rundown floor that this guy is just not living the life. So that's that little separator between those two things. And let's just say that this is maybe like a little carpet. So we'll add like a little bit of carpety sort of textural bits here and there. So I don't want to go over the top with it. And later on I might go back in and adjust that. Some of it I do want to do with just color and texture, you know. But you know, James was saying, what would we do? What would the animation do industry would do without Canada. But to be honest, like, Canada has a really long, rich history of animation. So there's a lot of really talented animators that come out of Canada even still to this day, you know. So go Canada. I'm just trying to draw a Canadian audience here. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh my goodness, that's so bad. It's like in pro wrestling when they say the name of the city to get the crowd to cheer. It's kind of the same effect. Just say the name of the city so that everybody's like, ah. So I don't really know any of the names of the cities in Canada. Otherwise, I'd go for it. So I'm probably gonna make this really dark. But most of what I'm doing now, I'm just doing all line art stuff. So I'm not doing any. None of the shadow stuff is going to be black. All the shadow stuff is going to be in color. So that's why there's no shadow work. In the event that you're wondering, like, come you ain't got no shadows? Why come you ain't got no values, man? Because I'm gonna do the values different. I'm gonna do the values. We'll do the values a little bit quicker and easier. At least mentally in my head, it's quicker. It's quicker and easier. And that's all that counts. This is that one drawer that every house has that doesn't have any real functionality to it. It's purely just a decorative drawer that's right by a sink. That's designed to just be very cool. That you just look at and go, that door leads to nowhere. I'm pretty sure that's not why it's there. It's there so visually that area doesn't look terrible. I'm going to draw this up here and move it down because perspective wise, if that's leading there, then eyeline's probably there. You probably can't see the top of this and the top of that sink. I'm thinking. That's my theory at least. But drawing wise, I don't want to. I like the position. I want to try to keep some of the same sort of shapes and shape language. So I want to make sure I'm not veering off too far from it because I like what I was thinking now. Kind of felt like for a minute there I was like selling for Canada, you know, like I was on the board of tourism. Come to Canada. Make this a little bit old. I don't think I should go old school with that. Maybe I'll change this so it has it has one of those like little No, I think it'd be cool if it has that those little handles. All right, let me try. I'm trying to close as many of these lines as possible so I don't have to go back and fuss with them later. That's the theory, at least. Especially when if you're doing color fills, man. If you just do the line art right, if you just close your lines, it makes your color fills like infinitely quicker. So I'm gonna copy that and paste it, and then flip it, and then I'll just push this one over here. Boop. That's a little time saving. That's nothing amazing. Nothing to write home about. Like, hey, I just cut and pasted a little hot and cold thingamajigger. What, you did? Oh, that's crazy. It's amazing. So I'm gonna set that a little lower. You know, again, assuming perspective wise that maybe we're at a little bit of a lower vantage point at this juncture. And I really just wanted to say the phrase juncture. It's one of the best things about this software is the ability to just cut those lines like that. Oh my goodness. That is the most awesomest. I don't even know if awesomest is a word. Oh my goodness. You know what? These cabinets are so perfect. I forget this guy's he's a little disheveled, so I should probably make this a little off kilter. So assuming that the door is still there. This will be something like that. And then we'll keep up with the sort of cracked metaphor. A little dinge, a little grime. And I'll probably, when I do the color, I'll probably try to make the color a little grimy. So we'll put a little window seal here. Window seal. So if you have any other questions, doesn't matter what it is. Well, it kind of matters. Like if you ask me any questions related to geometry, I will not know the answer. Geometry is when I was in junior high, or probably what they call middle school now. Like I was terrible at geometry, and I'm still pretty terrible at it, to be quite honest. So if you start quizzing me on some geometry, I'm done. DONE. That was a prayer. Draw this in right here. Just add a little thickness to it. Or add a little decorative element to it, so it's not super flat. So I'm not sure if when I drew this that I was making like these those blinds. So I'll just kind of stack these up in a sort of disheveled way. Like so. Oops. So I'm gonna put some pattern breaks in there eventually, or some little line breaks of where the lines go. The lines would go through the blinds, but it feels like there should be some interior detail. So I'm gonna add in maybe a little more thickness to this window. And maybe even like that's the that's where the divider is, so you can open and close the window. And then maybe this is the internal framework for that part. It's a slightly different kind of window. When I was a kid, I would occasionally break the window, so I had learned how to fix a window. Maybe I should make that like a broken window as an ode to my youth, my youthful indiscretions. So we'll add just a very tiny bit of thickness there. And I haven't really changed I could probably have changed the brush thickness, but I feel like I get enough variation that I don't really need to mess with it. So I'm not gonna start messing with it. Feel like some little stain sort of marks there, here and there. And maybe I'll just thicken this line up just a little bit to separate this internal doorway from that kitchen space. Boom. So, man, I got that done in about an hour. That was pretty much, that was really roughly what I was estimating that I want to see if I get this done in about an hour. So I'm like right on. I am right on where I want it to be, which is awesome. So I might want to make these a little thinner. Even that. I'll probably make this even thinner too. Something like that. Just because I kind of want to see his little weird feet. Oh man. So I'm going to have to fix those little breaks there, but no problemo. So I just had to go back in and refill them. So I'm probably going to go back in afterwards and break his ears, have his ears come out. And I've got that little like aroma. I'll add the aroma and then I'll AROMA. So I'll add this little aroma smoke, and I said I'm gonna call it a day. Again, I've been drawing all day, but I said I was gonna do some streaming today, so I'm like, let me get it in. Right? You can't tell somebody, yo, I'm gonna be there, and then don't show up. That's the worst. And then two, I was giving away stuff, so people that showed up, they're getting their freebies. So if you ain't show up and say what's up, you ain't getting no freebies. So I'm just trying to vary the thickness on the line, because I think I'm going to color those in different some different patterns. So, and even here, a little bit of aroma. A little bit of aroma. So I'm trying not to reflect the exact same shapes, because what's the point? Nah, I don't like that. I'll just leave it like that. Boom. So that's it. So the next time it'll, hit it with some color. I might go back in there and touch a few things here and there, but I'm trying to keep the style really, really simple, really clean. Try not to overcomplicate it. Let me turn off the. So it's like right just down to the essence of what what's needed, and then it has that very sort of cartoon animation sort of style. That's kind of the essence of what it's all about. So again, thank you for coming out and watching. I appreciate it. Till next time, till the next streaming. I appreciate everybody that came out and hung out. In case you're not aware of the comic, it's on Tapatastic, Cowboy Detective. You can follow me on Twitter, Grade A Fun. You can follow me on Instagram, Grade A Fun. Check out my website at musin.com. You can check out both of my Inktober sketchbooks on Amazon.com. So support. Appreciate it. I'm out.